It's coffee time, it's coffee time, it's the One Pot Chef drinking coffee in time. And that's still crap. Welcome to Coffee Time, the fortnightly chat show here on the OnePotChefBlog where I answer questions sent in by you. Now, before we get started, I'm not having coffee today, I'm having a chilled bottle of water simply because it is exceedingly hot today and the idea of having a hot cup of coffee on a day like this is just crazy. So if you're wondering why I look like I'm sweating or going red in the face today, it's kind of because it's about, I don't know, 35 degrees here, so around about 100 degrees in old money. So let's get into our questions. Oh yes, and if you've got a question for the next edition of Coffee Time, please feel free to leave it in the comments section below this video on YouTube. So, first question comes from Jack Wilkins, and the question is, besides for food, what would you like to win an award for? Oscar acting, Grammy singing, etc. I don't know, being the world's greatest lover? Don't be ridiculous. I already have that award. I don't know. I don't think I'm good at anything else except for, like, cooking, maybe. Maybe getting an award for actually making sort of cooking videos, perhaps, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't think I'm popular enough. I'm just sort of plug away as I go, so you never know. Next question, close the distance. Can you make chicken teriyaki? I can. Actually, I have, although it's not quite the chicken teriyaki everyone was expecting. I did a chicken teriyaki burger on the cooking channel about a year ago, I think, and it was the most delicious thing because it was like chicken breast portions and it was marinated in a beautiful teriyaki sauce and then quickly sort of pan fried and put onto a burger with lots of sort of vegetables and salad and stuff. It was beautiful. So go and check that out, and you can easily adapt that to make just regular chicken teriyaki if you want to and serve it with rice and veggies and things, but that burger was outstanding. Next question, Clay and Joe. G'day Dave, have you ever travelled to South Australia, and if you have, where did you stay? From Clayton and Joanne. I have never been to South Australia. It's actually one of the few places that I haven't had a chance to get to yet, but I keep meaning to go because I've got lots of friends in South Australia that I would love to go and visit. And I've heard rumours that there is actually a YouTube gathering later on this year that's going to be in Adelaide, so I'm thinking if I can get the dosh together and I can work the schedules out, I might possibly go along to that one. It would be good to catch up with all my South Australian friends, so I'll see if I can find out some information about that gathering that's coming up, if it is indeed in Adelaide. I think it is, and I'll see what we can do from there. But yeah, I would love to visit South Australia, especially go to like the Barossa Valley and get lots of wine and I don't know, what's in South Australia? It's like the city of churches and like, you know, lots of serial killers, I think. I don't know what else there is. I remember there was an ad for Dexter once that was advertising that he was going to South Australia because it was the serial killer capital of the world or something. So, wine, churches and serial killers. Man, what a great holiday. Quick, next question. Jolly Kill Bill 44. What is your favourite? Tea, coffee, hot chocolate or Milo? I guess it depends on the time of day, really. I don't drink tea very often. I don't mind it, but I very rarely have tea in the house, actually. I've got a couple of tea bags stashed away in the back of the cupboard somewhere. I think maybe on the off chance someone comes around and wants a cup of tea, but generally I make coffee. I don't have hot chocolate very often. I sometimes have it in winter. And Milo I never get a look in because my partner is a confirmed Milo addict, and like any time it looks like I might be having a glass of Milo, he'll sort of look at me going, so like, what the hell are you doing with my Milo? And I'm there going like, I know, I just, you know, bought this giant tin of Milo and I thought I might have a spoonful. Like, how dare I? So yeah, a coffee would probably be the answer to the question. God, I went off the track there. Ninja Do 1021. Have you ever watched Ratatouille? If you didn't, that's fine. Just watch Django instead. I haven't watched either of them. Ratatouille's the one with the rat that cooks, isn't it? I don't generally watch those sort of kids animated movie type things, mainly because I don't have a lot of kids in my life anymore, so I'm not forced to sort of sit there and watch them with them or anything. But and Django, I think I saw the previews for that when I was in LA, but I haven't actually seen the movie yet, so I'm not sure. It's Quentin Tarantino, so it should be a good one. I'm assuming that's the movie we're talking about. Anyway, Grace Donahue. Did you have any nicknames as a child? If so, what were they? I don't think I did. At least none that I care to repeat. No, I don't think I did. I'm not really a nicknamey sort of person. And to be honest, I don't really know a lot of people that go by nicknames, with the exception of people that I know from YouTube who tend to sort of are happy being known by their username, which isn't exactly a nickname as such, but yeah, I don't really have a lot of... I don't have a nickname, I don't think. Although people always call me One Pot, but that's just sort of a shortening of my YouTube name, so yeah, I don't know. I'll get back to you. Licho3440, did you get recognised in Los Angeles by any fans? With the exception of the people at the Tastemade Studios, not a single person knew who I was while I was over there, and that kind of worked for me because, like, the few times that I did go out while I was in LA when I wasn't working, I don't know if I would have really been in such a mind frame to actually sort of be particularly dazzling or entertaining to anyone who did recognise me, because I was really tired and really sore from work, and so yeah, it's probably best that I didn't get recognised, because people might have been really disappointed, going, yeah, hi, okay, yeah, I'm about to collapse into a pool of my own blood, but hi, sure, would you like an autograph? Licho also asked, did you visit any landmarks in Los Angeles? I had a really tight schedule while I was over there, so I didn't really get a lot of time to do any actual major sightseeing, but I got to do the non-touristy stuff that I wanted to do, because, like, people go sort of like to places like that and they go to like Disneyland and Universal Studios and the Ming Chinese Theatre thing or whatever, I don't know. But I'm really not interested in any of that. Like Mickey Mouse, who the hell cares? And Universal Studios, whatever. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that you would go to if you've got like a group of people with you, but like I was there by myself and didn't really have like anyone to go and do those sort of things, and I wasn't terribly keen even if I had to have people there. I wanted to go and do the kind of stupid sort of things that pretty much anyone would think, why the hell would you go to the other side of the planet to do that? Like, I wanted to go to an American supermarket, mainly because it's totally different to an Australian supermarket. There's like, I went in there to go and get like 10 things. I was there for like 2.5 hours because I was going through every single aisle, not recognising a single brand, wanting to pick up things and look at things and go, oh, look at that, it's one of those. I don't have that. We don't have that in Australia. Oh, that's so cool. And yeah, that seems totally psychotic. I mean, even when I say it, I think it sounds totally psychotic, but that's fun for me. That's weird, but it's fun. And yeah, I went to a big Westfield out at Culver City, a big shopping centre, shopping mall thing. And just wandering around there was a lot of fun for me, because like the layout of the different kinds of shops that you guys have in America and things like that, that's just interesting to me. And I found that entertaining, and I found that enormously more entertaining than, I don't know, going and meeting Donald Duck or whatever the crap they do at Disneyland, like, whatever. Yeah, so that was my idea of sort of tourism sort of type stuff. Tui away. Do you have root beer in Australia? Have you ever had it, and if so, did you like it? It's a good question. That was on my list of things to try while I was in the US, and I completely forgot about it. And it wasn't until, like, I was halfway back to Australia on the plane, and I'm there going, root beer, damn it! The closest thing I think we have over here is ginger beer, but it's not quite the same, I don't think. Yeah, we don't have traditional root beer, American-style root beer here in Australia. At least I've never seen it. It's possibly available at specialist shops and places that sell international things, but I don't think it's commonly available in Australia. I would like to try it, though. I've heard great things. I hear a root beer float is a must-have, so that was one of the things I wanted to try while I was over there, but I got distracted by the Five Guys burgers and fries. I should have had one there, I guess, but there you go. Tori Chrisisoni, I hope I said that correctly. I'm moving to Australia next month to Perth. English is not my main language, so my question is, does everyone speak as fast as you? I'm going to get in trouble here. If you're moving to Perth, you better get used to hearing people talk fast, because people from Perth talk faster than anyone else in Australia, but they don't think so. I'll tell you a little story. Nico, from Nico's Kitchen, I had this conversation with him a couple of years ago, and I made some sideways comment about how people from Perth just talk so incredibly fast, and he thought I was joking, and he's there going, oh, don't be ridiculous, we don't talk any faster than anyone else in Australia. And I'm there going, really, people from Perth do. He doesn't so much, but most people from Perth do. And he's just there to go, whatever, rubbish. And about 2 days later, he called me and said, oh my God, ever since you've mentioned that, now I'm noticing it everywhere. My wife talks really fast and I never noticed that before. So, I guess the best thing you could do is just sort of hope for the best, that you can sort of pick up on what they're saying, but I think it should be all right. It's one of those things where, like, I don't think everyone talks faster in one particular place or not, and I don't think I speak particularly fast. I mean, depending on what your native language is, many people might think that you speak very fast if it's not their main language either. So it's just a matter of practice and hoping that you get sort of the gist of what people are saying. So good luck, and I hope you enjoy the move. Let's see. Furimaline, I hope I've said that right. Did it ever happen that someone in a supermarket gave you a hard time by calling you bad names or something instead of minding their own business? If so, how did you handle the situation? I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean if somebody abused me in a supermarket? Not recently, I don't think. No. Generally, if people are rude to me or say something awful to me or whatever, I tend to just say something equally awful back, because I'm really not as diplomatic as people think I am. I tend to behave myself as best as I can in videos, but in real life, if someone annoys me or upsets me or makes me angry, yeah, I don't smile about it. They know about it, because like I tend not to hold back. So there wouldn't be an issue, I don't think. Let's see, Robert Peters. Love the blog, David. Oh, thank you. In the USA, we like big cars and trucks. The Suburban is big. Oh, this is from when I was talking about the car I had in LA last year, or last video. The Hummers are bigger than even SUVs. In Australia, they don't use a lot of big trucks or SUVs. You said you were 6'6". I'm 6'3" and like big trucks because of my size. I would have thought you would like a big SUV to drive in because of your height. Okay. I think it was mainly because I'm used to driving a much smaller car. It's not a small car, but it's smaller compared to something like a Suburban or a Hummer or whatever. The main issue I had was that, yes, I am 6'6", but I have a spinal injury, which made it difficult getting in and out of a fairly tall vehicle like that, because like it practically needed a stepladder to get into it. And I found that extremely uncomfortable. So that was the reason I asked them to change the car over, because like, aside from the fact that this car was bigger than most of the lanes in LA, I was having difficulty getting in and out of it without sort of seriously injuring myself. So there are big SUV type things in Australia and four-wheel drives and the like, but personally, I don't see the appeal of them. I mean, if you're in a rural area, it's probably good, but personally, I think most people who drive them don't really need them and don't know how to drive them properly. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm sure I'll get shouted down for that one. KIIE TV. Hi, David. What is the best thing and the worst thing you ever tried in the taste test videos? Ooh. Good question. I think the worst thing would have to be that Swedish thing that I can't remember the name of. Was it Yate salt or Jate salt? The licorice balls that were made of, like, I don't know, compounded salt that killed my taste buds for a week. They were really bad. I couldn't even swallow it. The best thing was probably one of the first things I tried, which was the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And to this day, I am absolutely addicted to them. I actually was doing some shopping the other day at the local supermarket, and they had packets of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups on special, and I actually grabbed a couple, and I've been sort of slowly snacking away on them over the last few days. So, yeah, that would probably be the best and the worst. Senna Orton #1 fan. Do you watch wrestling, and what is your favourite chocolate? Oh God, I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't really watch wrestling. I did watch it a little bit a few years ago, but I'm really not that into it, like, at least not for the traditional reasons. The only reason I was watching it was I kind of had a massive crush on John Cena, but that's another story. But I always get into trouble about sort of wrestling and professional wrestling and stuff like that, because I always think of it as gay porn for straight guys, because it just seems really, really odd that all these butch masculine men in their underpants rolling around and sort of hugging each other. It just seems a little bit queer. So, but to each their own, and who am I to sort of make such comments? Oh my God, I'm going to get hate mail over that comment. What is your favourite chocolate? I'll move on to the next question quickly to distract you. Favourite chocolate? Probably got to be a semi-sweet dark chocolate. I love a semi-sweet dark chocolate. I've got a thing for club chocolate at the moment, which is absolutely just gorgeous. It just sort of, it melts in your mouth, and it's got that lovely sort of slightly sweet, slightly bitter sort of flavour, and I just, goes down a treat. Yeah, so chocolate is good, and we'll never mention wrestling again. Oh dear God. Getting porn for straight guys. Nico's going to kill me for that, because he's a big wrestling fan. Wayne Hodge. Okay, Wayne Hodge. Have you ever tried steak tartare? And if not, would you if you had the chance? I've never personally had steak tartare. If you're not sure what steak tartare is out there, steak tartare is basically very thinly sliced pieces of basically raw steak. It's usually served with some kind of a sauce or a dressing of some kind, often with a salad. I've never had it, mainly because I'm not a big fan of sort of raw or undercooked meat. Even like having a steak or something, I don't like having it rare. I like to have it well done. If it's still bleeding, I have issues. I don't know, I don't like it. Like, it's probably tastes lovely, but I can't get past it's raw factor. It's just me. I don't know, steak tartare, I don't think I would probably try. I am one of those people who sort of will try something at least once, just so that way I can sort of say I've tried it. But, I don't know, that one might be sort of possibly testing my boundaries a bit. Bargain Bitch. Hello, Bargain Bitch. I love your username. Let's see. What is your favourite type of pizza, and do you like mee goreng 2-minute noodles? I love them, but everyone thinks they smell disgusting. Funny you should ask that, because I went to the supermarket the other day, and it was late at night, and I didn't really feel like cooking dinner, and I thought I might go and get like a roast chicken or something like that, or some salads, and they didn't have any left. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to go and get McDonald's or anything like that. And I thought, oh, I'll get some noodles. Like, that'll only take a couple of minutes to cook. And one of the ones that I got was a little box of mee goreng noodles, and it had the noodles and the sauce, and you just sort of mix it together and microwave it for something or whatever. And it was absolutely disgusting. It was the worst thing I've ever eaten. I don't know if it was simply the brand that I bought, or if just mee goreng itself is just really not very nice. I agree it has a pretty awful smell to it, but the taste was like, I don't know. It was like sort of slightly sesame seed, which I don't have an issue with, but it also had a kind of a bitter aftertaste, and it wasn't very nice. Um, Maybe I should try a different type of mee goreng noodles and see if it's better, but if the smell is what it's supposed to be smelling like, I wasn't really that keen. I just bought it because it was on special and it was something different. As for a favourite type of pizza, I don't get pizza very often these days. I've kind of gone off it since I had a rather awkward experience with a really awful pizza from Eagle Boys a few months ago where I ordered a pizza and I've had it before and it was really, really nice, and then it arrived and it was like a quarter of the size it was supposed to be. It was dry, like it was cooked like 8 hours ago. It was cold. It looked like crap and it really put me off, and I had a big fight with the people from the pizza shop because they weren't going to come and replace it because like, oh, well, we're getting ready to go home now, so like you'll just have to do without. And I'm there going, oh, thank you. I waited like an hour and a half for my food, and now you're not going to replace it because you've made a mistake. Well, that's charming. So, yeah, I haven't actually been back since then. So, the type of pizza I like, I go through different phases. There was one that had, I like a meat lover's pizza, but they had one that was really over the top. They had like whole pieces of bacon on top, like the eye fillet of the bacon, and had chorizo and a bit of hollandaise sauce over the top. It was gorgeous. But, I like all sorts of different types of pizza. Pardon me. Humidity. Oh, that's better. Kim S. Hi, David. Do you watch Downton Abbey? If you do, who is your favourite character? I've never watched Downton Abbey, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it's about. I think it's a period drama or something, but I don't know. I've never actually watched it. I kind of got put off by it because bloody motorcycles going past. Shut up! Yeah, when it was first advertised in Australia, the Seven Network, who was broadcasting it, were advertising it with that song by Kesha, Blow. And it had like people walking down the stairs in period costumes, but it had Kesha music going in the background, and I'm there going, like this does not appeal to me, and I just never bothered to watch it. Now, everyone's talking about Downton Abbey these days, and I've never watched a single episode, so I'm beginning to wonder if I should actually maybe catch up with it. What do you think? I don't know. I sort of, Emu Unlim. Hi, David. Can you please alter the magnet lettering behind you to something humorous and not mention it on the next show? Great video as always. I did that for ages on the cooking channel and virtually nobody noticed. It was like, I did it like 8 times where I had them on the fridge behind me when I did the intros on the cooking channel. And when I rearranged them, I had all sorts of anagrams of One Pot Chef Show up there, which would just make random things like, was it Hope, Stench, Wolf? All sorts of other strange things, and nobody ever noticed it. And it wasn't until I stopped doing it that people would comment on the other videos where I did do it, going, oh my god, that's an anagram of One Pot Chef! But it took like months, and I was like, oh, that's a kind of a shame. I put a lot of effort into coming up with those anagrams and nobody noticed, so, it's a sore point for me, that one. Laszlo Kavivi. Hi there. I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed your time in the US. I wonder, would you be interested in doing a series of programs on exotic cocktails? Given your penchant for making decadent dessert concoctions, it occurs to me that you would come up with some interesting dessert drinks. Thank you, from Laszlo. I've done a couple of them on the cooking channel before. I've done cocktails and they kind of bombed. Like, they weren't really popular. I did a cookies and cream cocktail, which was gorgeous. I did it as part of an assignment for YouTube Next Chef a couple of years ago, and it got some views then, but it's kind of never really sort of gone beyond that. The biggest problem I've got is that anytime I do anything that's slightly outside of the box, like if I do cocktails or something like that, people whinge that it's not what I normally do, or I've got also a large audience of people who are not of age for drinking, and so I get sort of people complaining about that. and people who aren't allowed to drink alcohol because of religious or health reasons or whatever, and it's too controversial. So I gave up doing sort of alcoholic type things, although I do occasionally put alcohol into dessert recipes, but it's usually when I sort of say it's not essential, you can leave this out, you can replace it with this or whatever. But with cocktails, it's very difficult to do that without sort of doing a series of mocktails, and by then it's hardly worth doing them. So I'll keep it on the back burner for a maybe in the future. Maybe I'll do it as a separate series and see how it goes. I don't know. I'll have a think about it. Mrs. Fufu. Hello, Mrs. Fufu. Loving to see you back on our screens again. Glad you had a good time in LA. My questions are, can you please do a video of you and your friends doing the Harlem Shake? Nico has done one. And what are the rules for foreigners wanting to come out and live in Australia? I have no idea what the rules for foreigners wanting to come and live in Australia are. I've never been a foreigner wanting to live in Australia, so I think you'd have to contact the Australian Federal Government about that and find out what the details for immigration would be. I wouldn't have a clue. As for the Harlem Shake, I am so sick of the Harlem Shake. I swear to God, it's everywhere. It was even on an episode of The Simpsons the other day, apparently. I don't understand what the Harlem Shake is. I think I've got to that point where I'm now an old man and everything new is wrong. So I know Nico did the Harlem Shake and I'm just there sort of going, I have no idea what I'm watching. This is insane. So yeah, I have no idea. I don't see myself doing a Harlem Shake. It's enough that I did Milkshake by Kellis on one of my cooking videos the other day, which I'm still sort of getting comments about. Sam Nick Montiduti. Hi David, my fiance and I were wondering if you buy into the health risks of using calorie-free sugar substitutes. Also, have you heard of the ketogenic diet? It seems like a new fad diet. Thanks. I've never heard of a ketogenic diet, but I have a big issue with diets in general because most of the time these sort of fad diet things are just absolute rubbish. Like medically, they are just absolute nonsense. You see things like Atkins where you're supposed to have nothing but protein, or low-carb diets, which in some ways do help, but then in the long term, they're just not that good for you health-wise. Ketogenic, I've never heard of that one. It sounds like some kind of bio-weapon. I don't know what that is. Health risks regarding calorie-free sugar substitutes. I mean, things like aspartame do have, which you find in many sort of sweeteners in soft drinks and things like that. There are some health issues with it because if I understand correctly, aspartame is one of those things that actually stays in your system, at least in small quantities, and it builds up and can cause many health problems down the track. But to be honest, I think a lot of the fear-mongering that goes around with sort of sugar-free substitutes are probably a bit sort of over the top and a little exaggerated. That being said, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, I'm not really sure. My biggest issue with sugar-free substitutes and things like that is that they are so ludicrously expensive that most people would just go, bugger it, I'll have sugar and be fat. I know that's my opinion on it. And most of those substitutes, they don't taste like sugar. They're either too sweet or they have a chemical aftertaste. And yeah, I don't know. I know Nico's a big activist for stevia. He loves his stevia and uses that in everything. But yeah, I don't know. I saw it in the supermarket the other day and saw the price of it, and I was just sort of going, it's insane. Like, that's just crazy expensive. So I think it's probably better just to sort of cut down your sugar intake wherever possible rather than buying these expensive replacements. So it's entirely up to you. Laura Mailhot, thank you for your advice. I appreciate it very much. I will have a variety of things on my channel when I start it. Do you think I should do one thing or a variety is good too? Oh yes, this is about you wanting to open a channel and do things and stuff. Yeah, you spoke to me last video. I think it's entirely up to you. I think if you're doing sort of like different things about the same topic, probably best to put them all on one channel. It depends. Sometimes, like if you're doing like, I don't know, if you're doing movie reviews and then doing cooking videos and then doing sketch comedy, you probably wouldn't bulk all of those onto the one channel, because you're going to have people who are going to go, I love sketch comedy, don't want to watch cooking videos, and then you're bombarding them with cooking videos as well as sketch comedy. And vice versa. Sometimes, if it's something completely different to the rest of your content, it's probably best to have it separate. The OnePotChefBlog channel is a bit of a... It's a bit of a mishmash, but mainly because I opened it initially because I just wanted to separate non-cooking content from the cooking channel, where I had everything dumped on the one channel initially. So most of it sort of relates, because this is kind of food related, and then I've got the taste test videos and things like that, but it's not actually cooking as such. So my advice is, if it's similar content, do it all on one channel. If it's very different content, maybe do it on a separate channel. IV Celine. They won't let you take food home from the restaurant in Australia, like if you don't finish your meal. Did I misunderstand that? Not really. No, you didn't misunderstand it. I'm sure there are restaurants out there that let you take a doggy bag home or whatever, but it's not a common thing in Australia. They won't offer it to you. You often have to ask, and not all restaurants will do it. So, but then again, in Australia, the portion sizes are never anywhere as big as what you would get in America. I mean, from my personal experience, I found that everywhere I went, the portion sizes were just ludicrously enormous, and in Australia, you just wouldn't get that. So, I don't know. That would basically be it. As I say, I'm sure some restaurants do allow you to take stuff home with you if you don't finish your meal, but it's not a common thing. Efafi? How did you get used to driving on the left side there? Isn't it weird when you make turns? Well, I grew up driving on the left-hand side of the road, so that's perfectly normal for me. It was when I went to LA and was driving on the opposite side, on the right-hand side of the road, that it was very, very peculiar, because I know when I tried to make turns, I would frequently have to really concentrate, otherwise I was going to end up turning onto the wrong side of the road when I was, like, say, turning left particularly. I suppose it'd be the same for you. If you grew up driving on the right-hand side and then came to Australia and had to drive on the left, it would be very disorienting. So, yeah. Killing 4B Flowers. What do you think of Home and Away? I think it's utter shit. My partner used to watch it, and it was just utter garbage. I used to sit there really having to bite my tongue going, I cannot believe you're watching this garbage, because, like I swear to God, they've had everything except a nuclear bomb go off. Like, who the hell would live in Summer Bay? Like, a place where there's flash floods and, I don't know, bushfires and cancer clusters and lesbian serial killers dressed as gorillas. I mean, they've had pretty much everything on that show. So, yeah, I just find it ridiculous. It's the most unrealistic depiction of Australian life next to Neighbours, which is equally as awful. So, yeah, I don't watch it, and if it suddenly got cancelled tomorrow, I wouldn't even know, because I don't even see it on the schedule. So, there you go. Another one from you. What are the best burgers you've ever had? Probably when I went to the USA and I got I think it was a double beef and bacon burger from that Five Guys burgers and fries place. That was an astonishing burger. It was so tasty. It wasn't greasy, but it had a lot of flavour to it. It was really well portioned as well. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. It was a really nice sort of sized burger, and it was absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed that. Another one from Killing. Do you think people get scared of cooking when they watch TV and see really complex recipes? Yours are nothing like that, by the way. I absolutely agree. I think people do get scared away from cooking because of these insanely complicated or expensive recipes that they see on TV cooking shows, mainly because that seems to be the fad at the moment. Like, no one is going to spend $150 on ingredients for dinner for 2 people. Like, that's crazy. And no one is going to spend 4 hours of sort of meticulous preparation putting together this insane thing of like 8 courses if it's just like a weekday dinner. And people get put off by it because they think it's too hard, they think it's too expensive, they think they need to go and get tons of equipment and stuff like that, when that's the whole point of the One Pot Chef Show channel, is that I'm showing people how to do stuff in their kitchen using fairly basic equipment. I tend not to use anything terribly complicated. And if I do use anything terribly complicated, I'll try to go for the easiest option possible. But yeah, that's the whole point of it, is I'm trying to get people to come back into the kitchen and go, you know what, not a scary place, it's kind of fun, and you get cookies. So, yeah. Could you please release the recipe of the exploding cake that your sister made? As far as I understand, she's still workshopping that one, because I should probably point out that's a reference to a video that I posted on this channel a couple of months ago. My sister made a cake for my birthday for a dessert for a family lunch, and it was an adaptation of my chocolate mousse cake that I did on the cooking channel. But she made many alterations to make something different, and the problem was, I think there was a bit too much of everything, and it had like fruit nut and jello on top and chocolate and caramel and God knows what else, I can't remember now, but it had way tons of everything, and it looked gorgeous, it really did, until she took it out of the tin and it just started to just collapse and explode everywhere. So it didn't actually explode, but it kind of went everywhere and kind of had to sort of spoon it out, and eventually we couldn't slice it, but it was a little over the top. And yeah, as I understand, my sister is still workshopping the recipe on that one, because it was a bit sort of, it needed a little work, I think, so it wouldn't explode. Oh, speak of the devil, my sister's done the next question. Which one am I? Am I the sister who would run screaming from the room after smashing the camera, or the one who is not interested in doing what you do? Oh, Anne, I think we know which one you are. You are, of course, the one who I think would probably not be interested in doing a cooking show on YouTube. And I think we know that our other sister is the one who would run screaming from the room after smashing the camera, because, let's face it, woman's got form. She's done it before, she'll do it again. Emmy Gallen, OPC, if you were stranded on a desert island with a talking gorilla and a three-legged puppy, which one would you eat to survive? These questions get more and more bizarre every month. Okay. Would I eat a talking gorilla or a three-legged puppy? Do I really only have those options? I don't know, probably the talking gorilla, because I suppose of the two, I think the three-legged puppy would probably elicit more sympathy, while a talking gorilla would just talk too much and annoy me, so it would be the first thing to die. Does that make me a bad person? I didn't eat the puppy, what more do you want? Why am I asked these questions? Jayothi Naidu, I hope I said that correctly. I enjoy watching your videos. You should do a detox series. No. Detox. Oh, no. I could go into a rant here about detoxing, but suffice it to say, detoxing is the biggest con in the history of the universe. There's no scientific backing to so-called detox diets and detox drinks and things like that, where people are only allowed to eat, I don't know, apples for 3 days to detox their system. It doesn't work. It's a load of nonsense, and frankly, any sort of benefit you might feel sort of positive about having done it has got very little to do with the fact that you've just eaten nothing but porcupine poo for a week or whatever. It's all a load of nonsense. So, yeah, I wouldn't do a detox series. So, yeah, happy thoughts. Oh, a complicated username. 01 is 1Z28DABX. Sweetie, I'm going to call you Sweetie. Sweetie says, do you have any hobbies that you do in your free time? If so, what are they? Could you answer this in your best New York accent? I really enjoy both your channels. New York accent? You want a New York accent with your 90-mile-an-hour hairdo? That is the worst New York accent in history. I have no idea what I'm doing. Do I have any hobbies? Slowly going mad, does that count? I can't say I have a lot of time for hobbies these days, but I like to read. I like to read sort of true crime and crime novels and things like that, comedy and sort of humour type books and whatnot, things that give me a bit of a giggle. try to catch up on my stories, my TV shows. My stories got to sound like a 90-year-old woman. Mommy likes your stories. I can't say, I don't have a lot of hobbies these days. I did do stamp collecting briefly until I realised it was a complete waste of time and something that absolutely nobody gives a damn about. So I gave up on that when I was about 12. But other than that, I don't really have any hobbies. Leo Lee. Hi, David. Do you like Chinese food? I do not like Chinese food. I love Chinese food. I have it as much as I possibly can. I don't have it as often as I always like, but definitely love a trip to the Chinese restaurant. Gotta love it. Really would love to go to China and actually try Chinese food in China. That would be pretty cool. Space Popcorn 87. What is the most expensive restaurant bill you have ever paid and where was it? Probably, God, this is going back a few years ago when I went to the Hog's Breath Cafe with some friends for a friend's birthday, and there was probably about 10 people or 12 people. Some of them I didn't actually know. They were friends of friends of friends. And when the bill came, we told the restaurant when we got there we wanted separate bills, and they brought it as one bill, and they refused to separate it. And the bill was like for about $400 or something, and not everybody had cash on them, and I was like, oh God. And so, like, just to save buggerising around, because they weren't going to let people go out to get cash or anything in case they walked out on it, and so I sort of said, all right, well, just put it on my card. Everyone who's got cash, pay it to me now, and if you pay me back when those who don't have cash, you can pay me back later in the week or whatever. And I ended up paying this entire bill, and I think, like, maybe half of the people paid their bill, and these people that I didn't know were all the ones who didn't have money on them as seriously, and so I never got the money back from them. So, yeah, I ended up paying probably $200 more than I would ever have wanted to pay for what was essentially a really crap meal, because I actually wasn't feeling well that night and didn't eat much. I think I had like a piece of garlic bread, maybe a little chicken nugget or something off somebody's appetizer plate, and that was it, and a drink. That was and it cost me $400. So like, woohoo! So yeah, that will probably be it. Hey, B must to Brex. Oh God, I hope I said that right. Have you ever tried real truffles? If so, was it all that? I have tried real truffles. When I went on a trip to Canberra a few years ago, and there was a restaurant in the hotel that I stayed at, which I went to for breakfast one day, and they had scrambled eggs with shaved truffles over the top, and it was all right. It was tasty. I wouldn't sort of personally pay $5 billion a kilo for it, but whatever the insane cost of truffles is these days. But it was all right. I can't honestly say it was the best thing in the universe, but it was certainly better than a kick in the teeth. So yeah. And another question. Based on all of your taste tests so far, which country has the best candy? You're just trying to get me hate mail, aren't you? Because any answer I give, I'm going to get absolutely torn apart for. I have no idea. If I'm honest, I would probably say... God, I'm going to get in trouble for this. There are a lot of things from the US that I really enjoyed, but I wouldn't say that their stuff was the best. The best thing that I've tried for a while, but probably not the best in the world, there was a little peanut thing. It was like a peanut butter square that came from Brazil. Someone from Brazil sent me some of this, and I wish they sold it in Australia because it was so delicious. I wanted to just absolutely pork out on a ton of that. It was so yummy. I don't know. I don't think I could pick one country and say their stuff is the best because, yeah, there's different things I like from different places. I'm not good at labelling things like that. But, yeah, happy thoughts. Let's see. Penny Sloan, if you could eat only one food from now on, what would it be? Oh, God. It's like the desert island again. Like, sort of like, which puppy would you eat? I don't know. I would find that exceedingly boring if I could only eat one thing for the rest of eternity. I would hate that. I don't know. I suppose. See, I would get sick of whatever it was, and I like things that I would sort of like. You sort of the idea is, pick your favourite food, but then it wouldn't be your favourite food once you've eaten it all day, every day for the rest of your life. You'd be sick to death of it. I don't think any food deserves that kind of punishment. So, I don't know. Probably that creamy tomato pasta thing I had at the Cheesecake Factory in Los Angeles, because that practically you could eat for the rest of your life from one portion, because it was like a kilo of pasta that size. And I found myself eating that for a couple of days when I took it home with me because it was enormous. So, yeah, probably I picked that. There we go. Lou Boop. I've been watching your videos for almost a year now, and I enjoy them. Couple of questions. Have you ever had a life-changing experience? If so, what is it? And describe your perfect day. My perfect day. I don't know. I don't know what my perfect day would be. Probably having a sleep in. Maybe getting up at, like, I don't know, 9 a.m, 10 a.m. That would be nice. It would be a Sunday. Start the day with a lovely strong cup of creamy coffee, maybe a croissant, a chocolate croissant. I figure it's my perfect day, what the hell. I would never eat that for breakfast, but what the hell. And I don't know, maybe just sort of going out for a lovely lunch, maybe watching sort of over the water or something, having a look at the view of the ocean, maybe having a lobster or something, that would be nice. Going for a lovely walk through a forest or something, just sort of having a sort of like a sort of a natural experience, something quiet. I don't know, and then sort of snuggling up with my husband John Cena. That would be a perfect day, but I don't see that happening. What was the other question? Have I ever had a life-changing experience? Good question. I suppose YouTube is a life-changing experience for me, because before I started doing YouTube, I was a very sort of, it sounds funny to say it, I was a bit of a housebound person because I'd had a workplace injury and hurt my spine, and I wasn't going out very often, mainly because I wasn't physically capable of going out, and so I was sitting around at home watching horrible daytime television while on workers' comp and jumping on the internet, and that's when I found YouTube, and I started sort of exploring that and thinking what a cool idea it was, and it's changed the direction of my life entirely to where it was, so I would call that a life-changing experience. Killing 4B Flowers is back again. How do you like your coffee? I like my sugar with coffee and cream. Boosty Boys represent. Oh dear. How do you like your coffee? I like my coffee strong with a bit of sugar and a bit of milk. Works for me. And if it happens to be one of those beautiful chilled ones with tons of caramel and coffee and chocolate and stuff, awesome, extra sugar. Mr. Butterworth 24, can you please make a video on how to create a KitKat bar? That would be awesome. Actually, I was thinking of doing that, but then my good friend Cooking with Karma did one recently, and so I've had to put it on the back burner. So I'll maybe do it in the future sometime. Akakaktet, I'm hoping I'm not even remotely pronouncing that correctly. ACACTTE. I know Easter is a month away, but could you do an Easter egg and hot cross buns tasting? Interesting idea. Probably not. I've just recorded a whole bunch of taste test videos, and they're already uploaded on the site, ready to go. So I would have to fiddle around and make another video and change it about. So probably not. But I'm not really that fussed on Easter eggs and stuff these days, because I think they all taste really crap unless you pay for the insanely expensive ones. And as for hot cross buns, yeah, I actually made some last Easter, I think it was, and got that up on the cooking channel. And I found that Easter hot cross buns this year are very small, and they're very expensive compared to the last few years. And I was sort of I've kind of normally would get several bags of them by now, and we'd be sort of heating them up with a bit of butter and stuff like that. But I haven't bought a single bag this year, so I don't know what the go is with that. Maybe I'm sort of going past it. I don't know. Licho3440, okay. Do you watch Downton Abbey? Oh, we've covered that one. And how about Game of Thrones? Game of Thrones, it's another one. Everyone's talking about it, and I haven't watched it. It's a fantasy thing, so I'm not really that into fantasy stuff when, I don't know, with gnomes and dragons and shit. I don't know. I'm not that interested in that sort of stuff, so science fiction fan, but not really into fantasy. God, it's hot. Danbo12, hello, mate. 3 questions. Do you watch Breaking Bad? If not, I highly recommend it. It's about a school chemistry teacher turned crystal meth mastermind. Enough said. Sounds bloody awful. I haven't watched that one, no. Have you ever eaten a Toblerone chocolate bar? If you haven't, I'll send you one. Oh, don't get me started on Toblerone. I have a rant about Toblerone. Toblerone is chocolate made by sadists, because it's usually rock solid, and then you have to use like a hammer and chisel to separate it. Otherwise, you have to bite into it with your teeth between the 2 slats, and then it stabs you in the top of your mouth. Like, what kind of a pervert invents chocolate like that? I don't want food that hurts. I'm ranting. I'm going to stop this. No Toblerone. No Toblerone. Happy thoughts. Do you often go to coffee shops like Starbucks? If so, what drinks do you usually order? I love a white chocolate mocha. Starbucks is virtually non-existent in Australia anymore because they all went bust. Mainly because I think... I can't say this specifically, but I think the reason they went bust was because they kind of had a snobbish attitude to them. Like, if you go in and ask for a large cup of coffee, they sit there and correct you and tell you that it's not a large, it's a venti. And they're going, you're unemployedy. Like, bugger it. I don't care. I ask for a large. They know what a large is. They don't need to correct me and give me a new language to learn. Like, just get me a large cup of coffee. Do I look like the kind of person you should be messing with at 7 o'clock in the morning when he hasn't had his coffee? I do go to coffee shops a lot. That's why I'm talking so fast. I go to Gloria Jean's. I love the mocha caramel latte, which they don't always advertise on their board, but they do have it on their computer. It's mocha, it's chocolate coffee, it's caramel, it's beautiful, and it's got like sort of a bit of swirl of caramel on top. It is absolutely glorious. It's like 18 types of sugar in it, and it will make you hit the roof, but it's gorgeous. So yummy. And I love their creme brulee chillers as well. That's my other favourite. If I have a hot drink, it's always the mocha caramel latte. If it's a cold drink, it's the creme brulee chiller. I haven't had a white chocolate mocha. I must try that. Where are we? Beaner. Did you get to try In-N-Out Burger while you were in LA? If so, did you like it? I didn't get to try In-N-Out. I really wanted to try In-N-Out, but I couldn't find one near where I was staying, which is odd because apparently it was right around the corner, but I missed it. I couldn't see it where I was driving, and I never got a chance to go to it. But it was on my list as well, along with root beer as things to try. But from what I've told, it's interesting stuff. So maybe next time I'm over there, I'll be more conscientious and find it In-N-Out and try it. Licho3440, I heard Australia is hotter than the surface of the sun. Is that true? Just look at me and ask me that question. It is hotter than hell here. Maggie12310, have you ever, or were you ever shy as a kid? Did you ever think cooking would become your job? Have you always liked cooking? Not sure if I was shy as a kid so much as I was completely ignored as a kid. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of friends when I was a kid, mainly because I didn't have any sort of siblings that I grew up with. They were all older than me. So I didn't have a lot of kids in my life when I was very young, and by the time I went to school, I'd mostly hung out with adults and tended to sound more like an adult than a child, and I sort of got a bit isolated at school because of that. And I don't know if I was shy so much as I was probably just got used to being ignored more than anything else. Happy thoughts, though. Did you think cooking would become your job? No. Well, not really, because I'd always worked in sort of food-related environments, but I had done sort of chef work in restaurants and cafes and things like that, but it was only sort of stuff that I did occasionally. It wasn't something I wanted to do as a full-time job. I was more happy sort of doing behind-the-scenes stuff like working in a deli, sort of making stuff behind the scenes and things, not actually sort of serving restaurant-type stuff. Have you always liked cooking? Yes, it's something I've always done since I was a child with my mum. Always enjoyed helping her in the kitchen and coming up with ideas and doing things too. So, yeah. Licho again. What is your most viewed recipe or most popular recipe I want to see? That would be the no-bake lemon cheesecake. It's had, at last check, something like 1.1 million views. It's my sort of dedication to my late mother, who taught me that recipe and is sort of hallowed in my family as being one of the all-time great desserts, and I continue on the tradition of the lemon cheesecake because it's just glorious. So go over and check it out. Evan Pin, or Pine, I'm not sure how to say that. You try lots of candy from other parts of the world. What are some candy bars or snacks from Australia would you suggest we try? I've had a lot of people, I was going to say suggesting, but I think I should probably say nagging me to do a Australian taste test video, and I am currently in the process of putting together a list of things to do in a couple of Australian taste test videos. So I won't answer your question because it will spoil the video. So stay tuned. It will be a few weeks' time, I should imagine, but I've got a few ideas of things that I want to try. So I'm going to workshop my list and put the video together, and then you'll have your answer. Naruto Uzumaki, you skip out. Oh, sorry, that's not a question. Pardon me. It's a answer to somebody else's question. Okay. Noor Sayafik Mustafa, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I support your channel, but can you do videos without pork because my religion restricts eating it? My advice is, if you can't eat pork, then simply substitute it. You can usually do a replacement, like if it's bacon or something like that, you can replace it with some chicken or some beef or something. But basically, I'm not going to stop using specific ingredients because of religious or personal tastes, mainly because if I did it for one group, I'd have to do it for everyone. If I stop using bacon because of people's religion, the vegetarians would expect me to stop using meat because it offends them, or whatever, and suddenly I'm left sort of steaming bread, and it's not worth it. So if you're not really that keen on using pork products, then don't use them. If it's part of a religion that you can't, then there's always substitutes. So just do a bit of research. I'm sure you'll find a good substitute for it. Klinghanna, do you live with roommates or your partner or both? Well, I live with my partner, and we also invited his mother to come and live with us. So she's my roommate, I suppose you could put that there. And I live with my partner, so there's the three of us, and Topaz, our cat. So it's a fun little group of lunacy, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And last question comes from Rebecca Davis. What is your favourite television show at the moment? I watch Home and Away. Oh, Home and Away. But I've just started getting into My Kitchen Rules. I think My Kitchen Rules should be called My Bitchin' Kitchen instead. Do you know what? I haven't watched a single episode of My Kitchen Rules, and I actually feel incredibly proud of that because I've seen the stuff people tweet about that show recently, and it sounds horrible. I think it's mainly because I do cooking videos for a living that the last thing I want to do at the end of the day is sit down and watch more cooking. Like, I've done enough during the day or watched enough of it. I don't want to watch anymore. But yeah, My Kitchen Sucks, or My Kitchen Rules, or My Bitchin' Kitchen. I like that, My Bitchin' Kitchen. I'm going to use that. Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me, so I can't say I've watched any of it. But the ads look absolutely horrifying, to be honest. And MasterChef, don't get me started on MasterChef. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this edition of Coffee Time, and we are just under an hour, so I'm feeling good about that. Alright guys, if you've got questions for the next edition of Coffee Time, leave them in the comments section underneath this video on YouTube. And until next time, lots of love to you, keep out of trouble, and I'll see you later.